Hey everyone, welcome back. In this video we're going to create a very simple character. I named him as the one-eyed bunny rabbit. So the first step that we're going to do is we're going to bring this picture inside Maya. Okay, so to do that I'll have to open up Maya and I'll go to front view and side view. I'll go to view menu and there I can choose the image plane. I will choose import image. So here it is, it's in my source images folder. I've taken it open and that comes inside my side view. I also need to bring this guy in the front view, so what I'll do is I'll go to view and choose image plane, and there we have import image, and I'll pick the same picture. Great. So now we need to organize this slightly so that we can just create this character in the middle. So what I'll do is I'll go to perspective view. Okay, so let's pick this one for the side view and this one for the front view. So I'll select this guy, just click on this image plane, and I should be able to find this image center X, Y, and Z. So this is going to be the side view, so I'm going to keep it as it is. I'll just pull this a little bit backwards, so that's x-axis here. So let's just pull this back like so. And also I want to bring this up so that this feet stays on the ground. So I consider the grid to be the ground line. So what I'll do is I'll just pull this up like so. And to make it more precise, we can also use the side view. So let's just go ahead and just pull this up. And when you do this, you need to make sure that the grid is a bit visible. Let's just try to pull this guy to the opposite side. Okay, so this way you can see that the grid is showing, so we can actually keep this guy to the left side. And I will also go ahead and pull this up. We can go more closer. Okay, so oops, select him once again. In y-axis I want to pull him up like so. I think that's perfect. So that's a 2.9, and we can actually give the same value for the other side too. So I'll go ahead and select the other one. We'll give 2.9. So as you can see, it fits perfectly there. So this guy, we need to pull him a little bit backwards and also a bit sidewise so that we can see the front view. So I'll go ahead and just move this guy like so. Okay, so here in the front view we can actually make sure that it's exactly showing the front, because we need to make sure that the center is exactly on the center of the grid. So let's just place him right so. Okay, if you find it really difficult, we can actually give a manual value. So let's say instead of 4.7, let's try 4.8, or let's say 4.75. So that's perfect. Okay, so now depending on the kind of drawing that you have, you may not be able to exactly get the right location, so you can keep it approximate, not a problem. So the other thing that I need to do is I need to just pull this back like so. Okay, so this is our front view and this is our side view. Now we're going to start by modeling the shape. Now keep in mind, because of this shape, by looking at the drawing that we have, it's better to create the body parts as separate pieces, and that helps us a lot in terms of texturing and rigging and stuff. So I'm going to start with the body first. Okay, then we can create the legs and hands and head and stuff. Okay, so I'll go ahead and choose a cube. Okay, so let's just pull this up. So this is going to be our main body. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually make one side of the character so that we can just duplicate the other side to make the other side. So I'll choose these vertices. I'm going to select all these 4 vertices. I'll press X for keyboard for shortcut key. I'll just click and drag all this way, and I can also just go to the side view and make sure that I delete this one side. So I'll select face and delete that face. Okay, so now we can just organize this a little bit. So I'll go to vertex mode. You can just select this, click and drag all the way here, click and drag all the way here. And top above this area we can actually ignore, it should not be a problem. I can just keep it like so. Okay, so now the pivot point is exactly in the center, so what I can do is I can actually make a duplicate. So I'll go to edit, choose duplicate special, and it actually makes a duplicate to the other side. Okay, now in duplicate special I just want to show you what settings we have used. So we can see that we have copy and we have scale to -1, so that's why it made a copy in the other side. Now we want to do one more little thing. I'll show you what happens if I keep it with copy. So if I just select one side vertex and I just move it, and you can see that it does not affect the other side because this is an exact copy, and once the copy is being made there is no connection between the two objects. Okay, so what we need is, we don't need this copy, instead we need the instance of one object. So I'll go ahead and select one side, I'll delete it, select it once again, and this time I'm going to choose instance and we'll leave all other settings as it is. Okay, so we'll click duplicate special and you can see that we made a duplicate. This time if I just select one side, you can see that the other side vertex is also selected, and if I just move this one side, you can see that the other side also gets changed, which is great. Fine, so let's just go ahead and make some simple tweaks. I'll go ahead and select this face. I'm going to choose the scale tool. We can actually do that by pressing the R tool. Okay, so W for move, E for rotate, and R for scale. So I'll just go ahead and scale it like so, so that we get some little round shape there. Okay, so depending on the need, we can add more divisions. Let me just go ahead and just smooth it out and see how that looks. Okay, so we can see that it just becomes very small because when we do the smooth, so we need to add some more divisions. So I'll go ahead and add one division horizontally. So I'll just go ahead and shift, select the object, shift right click and choose insert edge loop tool. So let me just add one here. Okay, and I will just adjust that like so, and maybe I can just pull this guy somewhere here and we can add more divisions here also. So shift right click and choose insert edge loop tool and just add one here like so. Good, I'll add one here. Okay, so this time let's just try this, press 3, and you can see that it takes almost the shape that we wanted, but from the top it may not be good. So what I'll do is I'll add one edge loop vertically this way. So let's try that, and insert edge loop tool, and there you go. So now what I can do is I can just select scale tool, making sure that all these edges are selected, and I can simply stretch it out. Okay, so let's go ahead and press 3, and that looks okay. Now we also need to check the same thing from the side view. So far we're just working from the front view. Let's go to the side view, and you can see that we need to make some modifications here. So to see the drawing through the object, what we can do is we also have a mode here that says X-ray. So if I just click on this X-ray, I should be able to see the model and the drawing that we have. So this time let me go to vertex mode, and I can actually select all these vertices in the middle, and I can scale them out like so. Select all these ones, scale them out. Select all these ones, scale them down. Select all these ones and scale them like so. So now if I select these guys, and I can just choose the move tool, and there you go. So now we can see that we get the shape that we wanted. Let's press 3, and you can see that we have the shape from the side view, and also we have the shape from the front view. So if you want, you can also turn on the X-ray in the front view also, so that you can see how the model looks from all directions. Okay, so this is just the body, and once the body is finished, we can just leave it as it is, and we can start working on the leg part. So for the leg, we're also going to start with a cube. Okay, so let's go ahead and choose cube, and I'm going to just move all these guys. Now keep in mind, I did not move the object as a whole, right? Instead, what I did was I went to the vertex mode, then I selected all the vertices and then moved. Now there's a difference, and there's a purpose that I did like that. The reason is, if I move the entire object, when I go back to the object mode, the pivot point will still be in the center, right? But in this case, I just moved the vertices, and so what happens is the pivot point of the object still stays in the origin, that is 0, 0, 0. Now this is particularly useful for us if we want to make a duplicate to the other side. Because the pivot point is in the center, it'll be easy for us to make the duplicate to the other side. So that's the reason why I always just select the vertices and move them. Okay, now this may not be suitable in different situations, so you need to be careful which situations you are in and why you want to move the vertices. Okay, so let's select all these vertices, pull them closer, and select these ones, pull them closer like so, and let's see, like that. And I'll just check from the side view. I'll just select all these guys and just scale them like so. Okay, so that's just the basic shape. Let's go ahead and make further tweaks. I will go ahead and add, let me just press shift key and right click and choose insert edge loop tool, and I want to add maybe 2 edges, one here, one here. Let's look at it from the side view. Okay, so I'll just make it a bit bigger, and we'll do the same here. Like so, pull this like so. Okay, looking good, and I will go ahead and select this vertex, extrude, pull this down, and I'm going to make it like so. We can actually keep it a little bit up. There you go. And now if I smooth it, let's see how that looks. Okay, if you think it's going too much in, maybe we can just add an edge loop vertically, or we can just leave it as it is. I will go ahead and add another extrusion here. Okay, now always keep in mind, don't add too many divisions. Okay, so if you think that there is a division required, then you add. Otherwise, try to have as less number of divisions as possible, so that if needed we can add later. But if you add a lot of divisions, then it becomes difficult for you to remove them later, in case if you want to remove them. Okay, so let's see how that looks. It's perfect. Maybe I can just pull these guys a little bit out. Okay, so once we make just one side, we can actually duplicate to the other side, and we have kept the pivot point in the center, so it becomes more easier for us. And what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and choose edit, duplicate special, options, and I think I'll leave all the settings as it is and hit duplicate special. There you go. Now keep in mind, before you do rigging, all the duplicates that we made with instance, we need to remove them and duplicate them again to make them with copy. Okay, if you keep them as instance and you do rigging, then you might have difficulties in terms of when you just move one side, the other side will also go, because the other side is actually an instance. Okay, so this is just for testing. Now if you want to make further tweaks, changes, you can actually change one side and it will affect the other side. Okay, but finally, once you finish everything, you need to make them as copies instead of instances, so that we will not run into any further problems later. Okay, so once that is done, let's go ahead and add the hands. Okay, again we'll start with a cube. This time, instead of doing it from the beginning till the end, I'm just going to start with the end of the hand, and then I will just extrude out the rest of the shape. Okay, so I'm going to pull it up this time. Instead of selecting the vertex and doing it from there, I will do that here. So I'll select the vertices here so that the pivot point actually stays here instead of just going down all the way to the bottom of the character. So I'll just pull this out here and scale them down. Okay, and you can see that our pivot point of the entire object is still here, right? So let's just go ahead and select these vertices, just select them, pull them here, push this down, push this here, keep it somewhere there. Okay, and now what I want to do is I want to actually extrude from this side. So let's just go ahead and select these vertex, select the face, and from the side view I'm going to shift to right click and choose extrude face. So I'll go ahead and click it like that. I'm going to make it smaller, and there you go. Okay, so now let's add an edge loop here, make it bigger, add an edge loop here, make it bigger. Okay, press 3. So you can see that we get that shape, but I think I need to do a little bit more extrude here. So what I'll do is I'll actually select this face, the last face. Let's see if we can select him here. Yes. I'll do one more extrude. This time it'll go in. I'll press 4 so that I can see the wireframe. Make it smaller like so. And actually I can make these vertices a bit bigger. Oops. Okay. Good. Now keep in mind, never scale vertices like this. If you scale them like this, what will happen is it'll only get scaled in one axis. You can see that it becomes taller, but it becomes thinner. Okay. So always when you're scaling, use the center. Okay, so that it scales in all directions. Okay, good. So let's go ahead and check this out. Okay, that looks nice. Now what I need to do is I'll make a duplicate to the other side. I'll go to edit, duplicate special, so we get it in the other side. There's a little difference in terms of the length. We can ignore that, or if you want to make it more precise, you can select all these vertices and let me see if I can move them a bit out or somewhere in between those two. Good. So we've finished the body, the legs and the arms, right? So now I'm pretty sure that this is my final. I'm not going to make any changes here. So what I'll do is I'll actually select the 1/2 and I will delete them. I'll go to object mode and delete them. Okay, so this time I can actually make a duplicate of all these guys, and I will make sure that this time I'm choosing copy, and for scale X we'll give -1. So I'll hit duplicate special. There you go. So this time it's not an instance, so it will not affect from one side to the other side. Okay, which is good for us when we do the rigging and stuff. Great. So now the last portion, we need to make the head. Okay, so head again is going to be just a simple cube. Now you can also create this same head with the help of a sphere, so it's up to you. I prefer to use cubes all the time, so it's just a personal preference. You can create it with any shape that you want. Okay, so again, if you want, you can actually work with one side and duplicate to the other side, or we can just model them at the same time. Okay, so what we need is we need to just make this top area to be smaller. So go ahead and select him, make him small like so, and the neck area also to be smaller. Oops. Okay, so now what we need is we need to add divisions in between. So let's go ahead and select edge loop, insert edge loop, one here, maybe one here. So let's work with these two and see if we need to make changes. I'm selecting all these faces two faces. I'll just make them bigger, like so. Good. I can add more divisions, maybe just two more, so one here and one here. Okay, so if you want, you can also select these edges and just pull them out. There is no condition that you have to scale the faces. You can do with edges or anything that you like. Now, because we want to have a circular shape, we can just keep it as it is, or we can also add more divisions depending on the need. Okay, so what I'll do is I just want to split it right in the middle. So what I will do is I will add an edge loop exactly in the middle. Now, to add an edge loop exactly in the middle, we can do a couple of things. We can either select all these faces, okay, by pressing up arrow twice, and we can choose shift right click and choose connect components, so that adds one edge loop exactly in the middle. Or right in the same tool that we always use to add edge loops, we also have an option to add multiple edge loops, and then we'll choose just one, and we can just click. It will add exactly in the middle. No matter where you click, it will add an edge loop exactly in the middle. Let's go ahead and select these faces. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10. Okay, so we're going to just scale these guys. So we're going to press R and I will scale them like so. Starts to become more like a round shape. I'll go ahead and press 3, so that gets the shape that we wanted. Let's go ahead and check from the side view. As you can see, it has become a bit smaller. I think I can just select the entire object and scale it like so, a little bit. Okay, so both ways. Okay, so if you want to create exact shape, you can actually add some more divisions, and that should get you there. And to be more precise, these guys are a little bit out like so. So it's not perfect round, so we can actually do some manual tweaks. It does not have to be perfectly symmetric, so just making some manual tweaks there. Press 3, so there you go. Okay, perfect. So now one last thing that we need to make the ears. I'll go ahead and press shift right click without selecting anything, and I'll choose the create polygon tool. And with create polygon tool, I'm just going to start from here. So let's say 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Now keep in mind, after you have crossed the center area, it's better to create same number of vertices that we have from this side. So let's say one for this, one for this, one for this, one for this. Okay, so that way it becomes easier for us to connect them later. Okay, so once we have that shape, what I'll do is I'll actually turn on the wireframe on shaded mode so that we can see these wireframes. I'll go ahead and just turn off the X-ray so that we can see these guys more clearly, and I can also use these other view actually. So let's see, I'll turn on the wireframe mode. Okay, good. So I'll go ahead and choose the multi-cut tool. Okay, so I'll just add these points. So let's say one from there to here, one from here to here, one from here to here. Press enter, and there we go. So let's go ahead and choose all these faces. So 1 2 3 4, extrude, and I will just pull this closer like so. And we also need to just pull this out like so. So let me just pull this backwards. Okay, and I don't think we need these shapes, so I'll just go ahead and delete them. It's actually looking the wrong direction, so I will have to change the direction. There you have. Or I can actually do an extrude of all these faces. Let me see what I get. Okay. Or if I extrude like so, yes, that's it. Okay, so now let's go ahead and select this guy. Okay, so we need to create that little thickness here. So we can also consider this outside area to be that thickness, or we can add an edge loop here to make that shape. So that's up to you. Okay, so one last thing that we want to do is we need to change the shape of this ear. As you can see, the ear height is different from both these angles. So what we will do is we'll just maintain this one size, and I can just select these vertices to create that rounded shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate it like so, just pull it out like so. Okay, and we can actually rotate it slightly like so. There we go. So if you want, you can actually pull this also backwards, this also like so. So we get that curved shape. Let's go ahead and smooth it and see how that looks. Yeah, that looks nice. And we need to take this actually more inside. So what I'll do is I'll actually do a little bit of extrude here. Select this face right from the bottom. Do one more extrude, pull it down. Select the face, make it smaller like so. Let's go ahead and press 3, how that looks. Yeah. That's it. So once it's done, I can actually select and check the pivot point, which is in the center, which is good, and I can just do the duplicate. So edit, duplicate, special. We're keeping it as copy, so we get the duplicate like so. Now if you want to make any tweaks to the duplicate, you can also do so. So let's say if I select all these vertices, press 1, okay, and you want to show some little differences between the first one and the second one, you can do so by either by rotating it like so. Let's see, these guys can also be rotated a bit more further. Okay, so let's press 3. So you can see that there's a slight difference between both of them. Okay, so once we're done, we can actually get rid of these image planes by making their visibility to be off. Okay, and that's our character. Now when we do the texturing part, we can actually add the eyes as part of the texture itself, so we don't have to worry about the eyes in terms of modeling. So that completes this tutorial. If you have any questions or comments, you can write them down in the description below. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, you can subscribe to our channel.